Welcome to I Love This Thing So Fricking Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Adam Black, a marathon runner. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So here's how this works. Adam will have 3 minutes to talk about something that he loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything he wants. Our only requirement is that he loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Adam?
I am.
Good. Got my timer here. Now, what do you love so freaking much?
I freaking love marathon running. It's been a passion of mine that I've had since 2015. I started off with just a simple 3-mile walk around my house, which then progressed into 8 miles every day. And I started off with small events like a 5K, which is 3 miles. And in the following year after that, I did a 10K and a full marathon in the same year. And ever since then, I've been loving to do marathon runs for the last 6 years. I've done 8 in total, anything from a small race with less than 400 people to giant events like the Marine Corps Marathon with over 20,000 runners. It's a sport that doesn't take a lot of equipment. I love the fact that you can just get on a pair of shoes and you can head out the door and run anywhere that you want at any time. It's an ideal solution for, when we couldn't go to the gyms during COVID. We were able to get outside and run when the gyms weren't available. And a lot of people felt that it was a great way to exercise during the pandemic. For me, there's many health benefits that I've seen with running. It helps me with maintaining an active lifestyle. It helps clear my head when I'm out on a run. I don't have to think about what's going on in the office. I can, just be outside enjoying nature and running, whether it's 70 degrees or even if it's in the 30s and a little bit of snow. I've done training all through the winters and the summer months of hot weather and cold weather. And one of the benefits I find with running is that it can help you with stress relief. It helps with your self-esteem, and virtually anyone can do a marathon. It doesn't take a lot of preparation. You can do it as a charity run. Many people do it for some of the bigger races in Chicago, Boston, and New York. They'll run for a charity that's near and dear to their heart, and they will be able to run the full 26.2 miles. And it's a wonderful experience with all the attention that you get from the fans and also from fellow runners that you meet out on these courses. So I've, had a really fun time doing it. And with Walt Disney World, they've actually are running a marathon next weekend, which runs from Thursday on to Sunday, in which they do a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon over 4 days that runs through all of their parks. So they've been having these challenges for many years, and it draws a lot of international runners, to these events. And one of the unique things with marathon running that I like is that you can have
Go ahead and finish your thought.
You can have yourself on the same course as the professional athletes who run in the Olympics that win gold medals. And that's something that would be akin to like playing on a basketball court with LeBron James at the same time.
That's awesome. Thank you for telling us about marathon running today.
Glad to share.
It sounds like you've done all kinds of different races in so many different places. Does any particular moment from a marathon running stand out in your brain as a favorite moment?
Probably a favorite moment for mine was being able to run in Washington, D.C. with the Marine Corps Marathon back in 2017. The amount of pageantry that goes on with the Marines lining the entire course. They actually have a specialty section that's called the Blue Mile, in which for that entire mile, they have pictures of all the soldiers that have given their ultimate sacrifice in the line of service for their country. And you get to see it all in that 1 mile on the course. And it's very moving to see all the flags and all the pictures of the servicemen and women that have been in uniform for our country.
It sounds like it had a big impact on you.
It was a very moving moment that got me through, that race, because, they say a marathon is 20 miles of hope, with the last 6.2 miles being the truth, in which you really test your resolve to, make it to the finish.
Absolutely. For you, is marathon running more of a solitary experience? Or you also mentioned getting to meet the fellow runners at the races was a part of what you enjoyed about this.
Yeah, marathon running is a very small knit community. We only have, so many people that actually run and finish a marathon in a year. We're probably less than about 300,000 that run in the United States. So it's less than 1% of the population that will run a marathon. And I go through a local running store here in Baltimore who holds training events, and we basically meet twice a week and we do long runs. We run anywhere from 8 miles to 20 miles on a given weekend. And we also do track workouts where we practice our race pace, in which we'll go quickly, then we'll back off and go quickly. And it helps with getting your body ready to conquer a marathon. So you use different tricks to help yourself out in the middle of a race.
Talk a little more about how running helps your self-esteem.
It helps with my self-esteem because you sort of challenge yourself to doing the impossible. And when you run, you get a lot of endorphins. When you run, it's sort of a natural, what we call the runner's high. And, as you put in the work for, running these races, you have a lot of time with doing your runs. You have to be up in the morning to run them, or if you have to run them at night, everyone's different with their schedules. And I feel when you run, you have a sense of accomplishment. And, even when you start and you think that I don't feel like running, just the fact that you got up and you tied your laces and you did the event, it really helps give yourself a sense of accomplishment. And it makes you know that even with the difficulties that you face, you can do wonderful things.
It certainly does sound like an achievement. You mentioned that this activity seems like doing the impossible. Do you have any advice for people who see the phrase marathon running and think, oh my God, I could never do that?
With marathon running, it's just one step in front of the other. And just as Dory says, just keep moving. If you don't feel that you're fast enough for marathon running, anyone can be a marathon runner. It doesn't matter if you ran in high school or college, or if you're just getting into this. A lot of people in marathon runs are anywhere from, their 20s all the way up into their 70s and 80s, and they can still run very quick times. And even if you don't run quick, you have a lot of celebrities that will run marathons and they'll be out there for 5, 6, 7 hours. And for them, they can just go at their own pace and they'll be able to finish the course and be able to receive their medals. So it's not impossible, because impossible is the word possible with I am in front of it. So that's how I look at it.
That's a fun way to look at it. Is there anything that you don't like about marathon running? And if so, how do you handle that?
The biggest thing that I would hate about marathon runs are when you've done a really hard race and your body doesn't quite feel, or you get to the end of a race and you feel that your legs are a little sore, or you felt that you might have missed a certain goal that you had in mind. But at the end of the day, just completing the run, even if it's not your best, you can be proud that you've accomplished the run. So I think there is a lot of pain with marathon running, but that's normally because of certain factors with like conditions that you can have. In my last race in Baltimore, I ran a personal best at 3 hours and 30 minutes. But at the end of that race, I got a little bit dehydrated and was starting to get muscle spasms after I was walking around for, the next 30 minutes. And that was because I didn't take in enough water toward the end. But you do have that pain when you run a marathon. It's 40,000 steps, and it can take you about 2 weeks to recover from that. So there's a little bit of downtime when you run a marathon, and that's why it's a really limited number of people that do it, because it's a lot of time and effort to run that race, and you have to take time off. Whereas if you do the shorter races at half marathons or less at 13 miles, you can pretty much recover and be back at it in less than a day or two.
In any case, you got to be sure to take care of yourself.
Yes, that's one of the important things. So, a lot of people will joke that with, running, you'll damage your knees, or they'll say that it's bad because it impacts your joints. But if you take proper precautions and you go to a running store and you get properly fitted for shoes, they can help you identify how you strike the ground with your foot, and they will adjust for the proper shoe, which can really make a difference to avoid injury when you're running a race.
Adam, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
I appreciate having the opportunity to discuss it.
And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. Don't forget to use the hashtag #LoveThisThingCast to tell us about the things you love. I Love This Thing So Fricking Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed and edited by Sophie A. Katz. You can find us at Through the Window on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. That is THROU the Window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.